snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Welcome to Wyatt, and I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Yeah, Merry Christmas, y'all. Merry Christmas. My listeners. This is the Wyatt Holiday Show, and I am just tickled pink that our very special guest is Mr. Jake Waters, who's absolutely setting the porn universe on freaking fire. Y'all, Jake is gonna crank up the heat here on Wyatt, making you all warm and toasty and giving you much fever while you're imbibing that eggnog or whomever for that matter. Oh, yeah. And Mr. Waters will be pulling up to the mic post haste. And after the show, visit my online home, WyattEvans.com, the go-to-it destination for LGBTQ news, features, commentary, and entertainment. WyattEvans.com is visited by over 100 countries on the regular. And that's where you'll find my smoking hot, nothing can tear us apart series of novels. And the current installment is Frenzy! Yeah, Frenzy. And look, Frenzy is just chock full of masculine romance, intrigue, danger, and the erotic passion and steamy nastiness of a million suns in the universe. And in 2022, the sequel drops. It's titled Delirium. I said Delirium. So definitely y'all get ready for that. Oh, looky here. It's my sometimes part-time co-host, Madam Pussy Galore Cock-a-Doodle-Doo Drag Queen Supreme. What's shaking, bacon?
Oh, Mr. Wyatt O'Brien Evans, just clutch the pearls and stop the train. Yes, it is moi, Madam Pussy Galore Cock-a-Doodle-Doo Drag Queen Supreme.
I know that. Didn't I just announce you? I mean, really?
Oh, Mr. Wyatt O'Brien Evans, you silly boy.
Anyway, madam, since this is our holiday show, tell our listeners what you have planned for the holidays, all right?
Okay. Oh, you're making my breasts swell and become rather perky. Oh, Mr. Wyatt O'Brien Evans, before I tell Vu, may I ask you a question? Can I?
All right, just one question. You only get one.
Oh, Mr. Well, you're stingy. You're not in the holiday spirits, but that's okay. Okay, Mr. Well, this is it. Can I smooch you under the mistletoe? Can I play with your Christmas balls? And you know which ones I'm talking about.
What the hell to the no?
I tell you what then, Mr. Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Can you decorate my pretty little puss? Can you stroke my kitty cat? Meow.
Okay, just let me tell you something! Get out. Just get the F out. You know, see, this is what I gotta put up with, y'all. All right, now let's leap into today's show. Wyatt welcomes our special guest, Mr. Jake Waters. In only 2 years, Mr. Waters has become a bright light in adult entertainment, taking the industry by storm. And y'all, after being approached by the famed, iconic director Chi LaRue, he was off and running. Award nominated, Jake has appeared in productions by Falcon Studios, Noir Mail, and Dragon Media. And early next year, he'll be starring in Friends in Heat, Lux Studios production. And the founder and CEO of Lux Studios is porn sensation Mr. J.D. Daniels. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Jake Waters. Talk at me. How the hell are ya?
I'm doing great. That's a great introduction. I appreciate that.
Well, listen, I tell my guests, man, I'm always looking for extra streams of income so we can talk about me being one of your PR people. I can squeeze you in.
All right.
All right. Well, listen, Jake, give our listeners your vitals, your height, weight, body type, and of course, how much you're packing. Because look, inquiring minds want to know, because I want to know.
I am 5'5". The last time I stepped on a scale, I was like 143. I've got a fit body. If you guys have followed me online, Jake_Waters XX on Twitter and Instagram. I work out constantly. I try to keep my body tight and right. And I'm packing 8.5.
Well, my listeners, he is tight and right. Now look,
always.
Yeah, I know. Look. I had Mateo Nuve here on Wyatt not too long ago, and I revealed, man, that I am an AZZ and Nips connoisseur. Therefore, I was just, compelled to comment on two of Mateo's most appetizing and appealing assets. And I said assets, which are his nips and his ass. So let me tell you this, my brother Jake. You're in that heavenly club too. I mean, dude, your nips stick straight out. They're rather turgid and PHAT fat. And of course, there's your ass. Now, comment, please. Comment.
So my nipples have always been like that. I think as soon as I hit puberty, they started like that. And I thought they would go down, but they didn't. And for the longest time, I found them to be very unattractive. So I would do everything to hide them, wear extra baggy shirts. But as I grew into my sexuality and figured out that my nipples are a turn on, I embrace them. I don't care. People are like, oh my God, your nipple, what do you do to get them like that? I'm like, they're natural. Wow. These are natural like that. And then my butt, I've actually grew in the last 2 years. I've never really had a butt. It's been something back there, but I've been doing squats and lunges and all my deadlifts and just appreciating what God gave me.
Good golly, Ms. Molly, thank you for deadlifts and squats.
Amen.
And as Whoopi Goldberg would say, Well, listen, a little more seriously here. I want to congratulate you on your Gay VN Award nomination. And the Gay VNs, y'all, are the Oscars of gay porn, so they really mean a lot. So you share this nom, Jake, with your significant other, your life partner, porn superstar, Mr. Dylan Diaz. Yes. Now, tell us about the nom. How are you feeling about it?
I feel it like on cloud 9 because we shot that in Palm Springs, and we weren't really thinking, let's do this because we want to get nominated, or we're doing this because at the time that it was directed by Steve Cruz, said roll, it was just us. It was there. We didn't see a cameras. We didn't see a crew. It was just us, and then this passion, and that translated on the film, which got us the nomination.
No, what's the title of the scene?
The movie's called Making a Grade.
Right.
So I don't think the scene itself has a title,
Right.
but yeah, the movie itself is Making the Grade, and there's some really good actors in it. And I was really proud that our scene got nominated for the GAVN.
Well, you know what? Deservedly so, because my listeners, you need to check out that movie. What's the name of it again, please?
Making the Grade.
Your scene, man, was really erotic, passionate. Yeah, I see why it was nominated. And we can see that you two guys are like in love, LUV love, which is really great. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. You know, we don't want to give all the treats up front. Okay, now look, before we get into the nitty gritty of your adult entertainment career, Jake, let's take a trip through the corridors of time so that our listeners can learn about your beginnings. You ready to do it?
Absolutely.
All right, so here we go. Let's see what we got here. Now, look, you were born in a small town in Ohio, and then when you were 3 years old, you and your mom moved to California, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, my mom and my biological dad, they were never married, but they're still remain friends to this day.
Right.
And my mom decided, like, this town isn't enough. We need to get out of here. She didn't want to raise me in the same town that she grew up in. So we moved out to California with some of my other family members. And that's where she met my stepdad. My stepdad was in the military. He's a Marine. He did 20 years. So for those of you who are out there who served, thank you for your service.
Definitely, definitely.
And we traveled. We traveled and we ended up settling in Kansas City in 92 or 93. So then I called Kansas City home. From there, I have a brother and sister. So I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of three, and the shortest of the three of us.
But you're still the big brother, see?
Yes, still the big brother. It's like I call my brother my little big brother because he's 6'2". I'm 5'5". So, yeah.
That's a stretch, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a huge. People look at us and like, what happened? Like, oh yeah, he takes after our dad. I take after my mom. I got all the looks. He got the height.
Okay. Well, look.
Yeah.
I always like to ask my special guest the following question, which is this: just what was Jake like as a boy, a little nipper? What 3 characteristics or qualities would you say best described you?
Let's see. Shy.
Wow.
Very anxious and athletic.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think the shy and the anxiousness?
Growing up, even though I had a military background from my dad, there's a lot I went through as a kid that I held onto and I didn't tell my parents. It was just a part of my life that it's difficult to talk about, but it's something that I went through. I was molested at a young age.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very outgoing, and then that happened, and I completely shut down. And my parents didn't quite know what was going on. They thought maybe it was just because of us moving around, but it was just something I don't know if I can use the word ashamed because I didn't really know what ashamed was at a young age. I just knew it wasn't right.
Right.
So it was something that I held on for years. So it kept me from really stepping outside the box and doing what I wanted to do. I found sports as a relief, and that's where I get a lot of this body. My parents played competitive softball growing up, so I was always at a softball field. We lived in Hawaii for about 3.5 years.
Nice.
So the weather was perfect. So I was in football, soccer, baseball, and we were in basketball. I'm not any good at. I'm not any good at basketball. I can dribble the ball, but that's about it. But because of the weather, we were constantly one sport right after the other.
Right.
And then, so that's where some of my shyness kind of got away because I had to step out. I can't be the shy guy on the field.
Right.
And then I was very anxious because I was very hesitant about moving forward, about meeting new people without exposing my past to other people. So it was I had a very good childhood. Don't get me wrong. It was just a very very interesting. And once I started opening up and talking to my parents about the things that happened, one, my parents were pissed because they're like, well, why didn't you tell us this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they told me if I ever told you, if I ever told anyone, they'd kill me, type of thing.
Oh man.
But it's just one of those things that you hold on to, and you hope over time it just gets better and you forget about it. But it did, and it got better. It got to a point in my life where it really did. I really had some dark days, but it's you live and you learn, type of thing.
Yeah, man, that is true. Now, in the bio that you sent us here at Wyatt, you know what? I really love saying. Let me do it again. Wyatt. Okay, stop. Anyway, in the bio that you sent, you said that you had attempted suicide in high school, and then you were drugged and raped at 21. Did you?
Yes.
If you don't want to talk about it, cool. But if you would, it very well may help some other folk.
Oh, absolutely. In high school, I was in a car accident. I was hit. I was hit in a hit. I was hit head on in a Mazda Miata, and the person who hit me was driving like an '88 Buick. So it was basically a bike versus a boat type of situation. I was making a left-hand turn. They were drunk. They ran straight through the stop sign, and my female passenger that I was with, we both survived.
Wow.
But it was just one of those moments where it just really shook my life. I started reminiscing about what happened in my past, what happened as a child, and going through this sexual change in my body because I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And being in that small town, being gay, being Black and gay wasn't a thing. So I was going through so much pain, so much hurt, so much emotion. I took a handful of sleeping pills, and I hoped not to wake up the next morning for one of those because I just didn't want to go through the pain anymore. This is very emotional, but I know it needs to be said because somebody's probably going through the same thing. But I woke up the next morning with my dad yelling at me because I missed the deposition I was supposed to be at because I overslept.
Right.
And the first thing that I heard as I woke up was Beyonce and the Destiny's Child singing Amazing Grace.
Wow.
And I had the CD on repeat, and it was just playing through the night, and I woke up listening to that. So that at that point in my life, something told me, it's like, you know what? I'm meant to be here for a purpose. I have a purpose in life, so this I will never try again.
Right.
Graduated high school, moved out of my parents' house, and then I was 21. I met someone online. This is, way before any of the little apps and you could text it on your phone and all that. So we had a good conversation. Seemed like a nice guy. I flew out to California. Right. We met, we hung out. He offered me a beer back in the hotel room. And then next thing I know, I couldn't feel my limbs.
Oh, probably date rape drug.
Yes.
In that, yeah.
And I wasn't paying attention. So when he opened it, he must have slipped it in. He had to have slipped it in. And I couldn't tell you how long it lasted. I couldn't really feel anything, but I was awake the entire time. And it was just one of those moments where I felt stupid. I felt stupid. I felt irresponsible. I felt like everyone in the world is going to know what happened to me. So I didn't tell anyone. I went home. My roommate at the time was at her boyfriend's house. So I stayed in my apartment, what felt like 3 days. It could have been a little shorter than that, could have been longer, but I didn't sleep. I stayed on the little corner of the couch and drank. I drank beer, wine, liquor, anything that I could do to numb the pain. And it hurt. Because I didn't have anyone. I didn't have anyone that I felt I could talk to and share this to because I felt that it was my fault. I should have done more research. I should have done more studying. How could I put myself in this stupid situation? And all the things that I kept telling myself that I did just said out loud, I feared that someone would say to me. So I was like, you know what? I won't say anything. So instead of handling the problem, I moved to St. Louis.
Mm.
I moved to St. Louis with the company that I worked for, thinking that's a fresh start.
Right.
Ended up in a 6-year relationship, which was not the best thing to do. It started off really great, but then it became extremely violent. It started off very mentally. It was a little deception here and deception there, telling me that I wasn't pretty enough, that no one else would want to date me. Because I told him what happened in the past, and he used that against me. And from being mentally beat down to physically beat down, I just felt that maybe this is what I'm supposed to go through. This is my fault for allowing all of the stuff in the past that happened to me. This is the way that the world is paying me back.
May I stop you for a second? Because let me tell you something. First of all, it's not your fault. It was not your fault. And I can tell that to you because I was a victim of intimate partner violence and abuse. So before you continue, let me tell our listeners exactly what intimate partner violence and abuse is, what it involves, and some stats, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So intimate partner violence and abuse, or IPVA, the acronym, is domestic violence and abuse within the LGBTQ community. Each year, between 50,000 and 100,000 lesbians or more, and as many as 500,000 or more gay or same gender loving men are battered. So, y'all, IPVA ain't no joke. Anyone can become a victim of IPVA, regardless of race and ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or station in life. And IPVA is used for one purpose and one purpose only: to gain and maintain total control over you.
Yes.
The bottom line is that abusive behavior is never acceptable. You deserve to feel valued, respected, and safe. And let me add that stigma that you got into is largely responsible for keeping IPVA swept under the rug. Therefore, it leads to it being dramatically underreported. As well as a survivor, I'm a journalist and I continue to shine a bright light on IPVA. I'm also an advocate and speaker. The Wyatt podcast consistently addresses IPVA, and that's a major theme in my Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. So you have nothing, my man, to feel sorry about, because the abuser is like a shark smelling blood in the water. As soon as they see any insecurities, they're right at you.
Oh, absolutely. It was a night and day difference from the time that I met him to the time that I walked out the door. And I walked out on my 28th birthday. I said, you know what? I'm done. I can't handle this anymore.
Wow.
And I tell people this story, and I've told my family this story, like when it happened, like after I left. They're like, well, why'd you stay so long? Why didn't you report this? Why didn't you say something to someone? I didn't leave, one, because at the time when we met, he was in the process of adopting a child. The child was 6. I felt if I left, the abuse that I was receiving would have been put on the child. So I took it. I took the verbal abuse. I took the physical abuse because it wasn't fair. I didn't feel it would have been fair to him. This kid grew up in the foster system, and that's all he knew. I didn't want him to have that type of life. I didn't report it because he was a police officer.
Oh, my goodness.
Who am I going to tell?
Oh.
Who's going to believe it? And I had to leave because I felt if I...
Take your time. And you don't have to finish if you don't want to. Because I get it.
I felt if I didn't leave, that he probably would have killed me.
Yeah.
Because during the arguments, it was so bad that he was turning red as he's yelling at me. sorry.
No. Take your time, or if you want to not finish, that's fine. Because we understand. I know I understand. I know I do.
I had to leave, and I felt horrible leaving the child there, but I had to leave. There was no other choice. I had to get out. And I'm glad that I did. I am glad that I did. I went to therapy. So for those of you who are listening, and for who think therapy is, only for white people or for people who have money, find a therapist. Find a therapist or someone you can relate to and tell your story. If you can get it off your chest, it's going to make you feel so much better. And I'm so glad I did, because my therapist helped me find my voice again. I wasn't going home and getting yelled at and just taking it. I was fighting back. I was yelling back, and I was holding my ground. And I could tell that it was making a difference, because he stopped. Not 100%, but he stopped doing a lot and stuff that he's doing. I was like, I can't. And I got out. And when I got out, and I told my cousins, and the sad part about this is, I told my cousins at my grandmother's funeral. We had an argument about going to my grandmother's funeral, and what really made me pack my stuff and leave is when he told me that he hates my mom.
Oh, no.
That's who you telling?
Oh, no.
My mom has been my rock my entire life. And for you to tell me that you don't like her or you hate her and you don't know her the way that I'm done. We're not going to argue about going to my grandmother's funeral, and then you're going to cry because I tell you don't want to go. I don't want you to go for a woman that you didn't even know. And then you're going to tell me that you're going to hate my mom? No, I'm done. I'm done. I packed all I could in a plastic bag in my little Ford Focus, my little 2001 Ford Focus, and I was done. So anything that I couldn't fit in that car got left. And I got an apartment, and I had a job. I had money. I didn't tell my mom about the abuse. One of my cousins told my uncle, and my uncle told my mom. So we're heading back to my grandmother's house after the funeral. And my mom's like, so what is this that you used to get beat? Why am I hearing this from other people? And I was like, So I told her what happened. And she's like, well, why didn't you tell me? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I just said, and I didn't want you guys to get involved. She's like, look, you are my child. You are my baby. She goes, I will go back to jail for you. I was like, go back? What do you mean? She's like, that's a whole nother story. We're not talking about me right now.
Well, let me say two things first. First of all, a Ford Focus is much better than a Miata.
Yes.
It really, really is. And number two, to get really deadly serious here, I'm sending you a virtual hug for a number of reasons, but I'm so glad you said this about therapy. I am a strong advocate and a proponent for therapy. Sometimes you have to put your ass on the couch to heal. Here's my analogy. Let's say you broke your arm, right? You're going to the doctor. She or he will diagnose it, probably put it in a cast, maybe give you some pain meds because you're not equipped to handle it, to heal it yourself. You need help. And for all Black folks who poo-poo therapy and who say it's for white folks, you all need to get a clue. Going to your minister, your pastor is wonderful. But unless they have a degree in psychology or psychiatry, they can't really help you. God put psychiatrists on this planet for a reason. So we have got to go and get some help when it's needed, particularly when you are breaking out of intimate partner violence and abuse.
Yes. And this is the tag on what you said, the stats that you gave, those are only the numbers that are reported.
Right.
Just think of all the people who are going through who don't report it because, something that we talked about before the show with the, oh my God, I literally just went blank. But being reported and then not being taken seriously.
Right.
But if it's two ladies or two guys, it's just them having fun, it's not serious. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here with a black eye and a dislocated shoulder. That's serious. You need to do something about this, not brush it off as boys will be boys type of thing.
Right. I'm so glad, Jake, you brought that up. But the good thing is you found love after you left. I mean, real nurturing love after you left that relationship.
I did. And it was a complete accident. So in the same month, so we broke up at the beginning of March of 2008. And I ended up meeting this man on Easter of 2008 in the same month. And we've spent 10 years together.
Wow.
This man taught me what love is. He told me how to be in a relationship. He taught me a lot of things about myself and about life. And, just little, it might sound stupid, but little life hacks, like how to change out my, the battery of my car, my spark plugs, how to change the tires and rotate them.
Nice.
Just things that, as a loving partner should show you. And we literally built a house together from the ground up. And then towards the end of the 10 years, we sat down and had a conversation, and we were both on two different paths. There was an age difference. He graduated high school the year I was born, so he was literally sold me from the crib. I tell him that he's like, I hate you for saying that. But he didn't look his age. But he had a life. He lived the whole life before I was even born, and we were just on two different paths. We sat down, we had the conversation like grown men, and we're still friends to this day. I told him I was moving out here and told him, the new career path that I've taken. He goes, I wish you the best. He goes, if you ever need anything, just call me.
That is such a nice way of leaving things. And then you met Mr. Dylan Diaz. Now we need to talk about that. Here's my burning question. And this is it. How do you, you're in an intimate relationship. He's your significant other, life partner. But on screen, you're fucking people. You both are. So the burning question that I and my listeners want answered, and there's no judgment, no heat, is how do you reconcile those two things? Are there guidelines, rules? How you guys are clearly in love, but are there guidelines, rules, dictates? How do you reconcile those? So before you do that, I had to get that question out. But before you do that, would you mind telling us how you guys met, how you fell in love, that sort of thing?
So Dylan and I met November 9th, 2019. That is the day that I first saw him. That is the very first day that I stepped my foot onto to an adult industry set. So before I get there, let me rewind just a second. So I moved out of my house I moved out of that house, bought a house, and I was sitting there one day and I had this phone number, and I was like, you know what? Let me text this number to see if this is who it is. And I said, hello, is this Shishi LaRue? My name is, my government name. And she said, yes. So after a couple of phone calls and text messages, I was on a flight and I was on set. She was talking to me, telling me all the do's and don'ts. And I look over and this door opens and here walks Dylan. I don't know this man. I've never met him in my life. And he walks through and I was like, this man is gorgeous. But I wasn't working with him that day. I was working with Dev Trez. And I'm trying to figure out all the do's and don'ts. So the next day, at the last minute, she switched things and changed out my scene partner for Dylan. And we're sitting there, we're talking, we're having a great conversation. And there's just this, I don't want to say it was a spark because it wasn't there yet, but there was just something different about him. His mannerisms, the way he was talking to me and guiding me through the scene. And after the scene, we exchanged social media information and contact information. And through the rest of that year and the COVID year, we, checked in on each other every once in a while. We follow each other, our likes and stuff like that. And then I did an interview for another podcast, and it got sent to me, and I sent it to him and a couple other people, but I really have no idea why I sent it to him. The podcast was about 45 minutes. I swear to you, as soon as the podcast was over, he texted me and it's like, so what are you doing? I'm like, I'm sitting here. He goes, so you're single now? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you should come out to Vegas and let me take you to dinner. And I was like, well, going back and forth and all this other stuff. I go, well, I'm supposed to be in LA to do a shoot. He's like, oh, me too. So you can come to Vegas and then we can drive to LA. And on March 12th of 2020, and only way I know this is I found the stub to the airline ticket. I saw it. I found it this morning as I was going through a drawer. I was on a flight to Vegas, and he picked me up at the airport. And I tell you, things moved in slow motion, and like this light was on him when he got out of this car. He was wearing this maroon T-shirt that fit him so well with these pants. I was like, okay, all right, we're gonna see where this goes. And then, so that was. He called me on March 8th. On 2020. We met again on March 12th. And then on March 15th, we were leaving a mutual friend's house and he was saying goodbye and it slipped out and I told him that I loved him.
Oh, okay.
It literally slipped out of my mouth and we stand there on the street, which felt like for about 30 minutes, just holding each other and just tears. There's something about this man that words can't describe.
Mm-hmm.
He is genuine. He's loving. He's kind. He literally goes out of his way to make sure that I have everything that I want and need. I'm carrying a plastic bag out of the store. It has like maybe a bag of chips in it. He's like, you want me to carry that for you? I'm like, it's a bag of chips. I think I got it.
But see, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes,
That's how it's supposed to be.
It's love. It truly is. And my family loves him. My mom loves him. He's met pretty much all of my aunts and uncles. I think he's met everyone but one aunt. And then it's just amazing. And then all of my family looks at me and go, don't you mess this up. I was like, why are y'all looking at me? And they got family members who are like, okay, you better make sure we're invited to the wedding. Because I post him all the time on Facebook and stuff like that. So they see him. But to answer your question on how do we're both in the industry, how do we make this work?
Right.
It's like going to work. When you leave your house and your other half goes to work and you're literally going to work. And it's what it is. It's a job. Our job is to have sex with other people and make it look entertaining and make it believable that we are, I don't want to say we're porn stars, but we are actors in a different sense. And it is a job. We're not there to catch feelings. And it's just sex. It is just sex. So a lot of people have asked that question, like, how do you differentiate the two? Well, before I was with him and I was hooking up with people, it was the same thing. This time I'm just getting a check. The only difference is a director's reaching out to me or a casting agent and say, hey, we're going to pay you X amount of money for this particular scene versus me being on one of the apps and saying, hey, come over or let me come over. I get a check with it. There's no feelings either way. But when it comes to doing like the OnlyFans or just for fans, stuff like that, we do have some rules. We have some guidelines that we have decided that if we're going to do those particular things, we want to make sure that the person that we're with is tested.
Right.
We want to see a recent test. I want to be able for you to log into talent testing or whatever testing site that you're using, and I can actually scroll through and look at your test result. Don't send me a screenshot because I don't know when that was taken. That could have been 3 or 4 months ago. I want something that's recent. And our guideline is, just don't fall in love. Don't fall in love with anyone. Or if you happen to catch feelings or something, let's sit down and let's talk about it. Let's have this conversation. But honestly, neither one of us we've had to have that conversation because I can't imagine the rest of my life without this man in it.
Yeah.
So,
Man, that is absolutely beautiful. Much success. Kudos to you guys. Now, I want to talk about believability. Y'all, we're going to talk about believability. And let me tell you what, last night when I was, I do my research for my articles that I write, for the books I write, for the Wyatt show. I do a lot of research. And a lot of the research is very, very, very pleasant. So last night, I was doing some additional research on Mr. Waters, and I came across believability, the epitome of believability. And that is Chi LaRue's Los Angeles Fire Dance for Dragon Media. I said Chi LaRue's Los Angeles Fire Dance feature film by Dragon Media. Mr. Waters is in the center of attention in a freaking smoking hot 5-man scene.
as I should be.
Yep. Well, look. Now, see, you try to knock me off my game. But anyway, that's okay. That's okay. The film also stars Dylan, Luca Mazzi, Michael Boston, and Luke Truong. Now, let me just tell you something before you comment on the film. I love me some Luke Truong. You know why?
Why?
Because he's got a mouth like a freaking Hoover vacuum cleaner. Listen, Jake, I call him the oral officer. The oral officer, and then there are his nips. So tell me about this movie.
So this one was, it was actually really fun to shoot. This was this was like the second group scene that I did. So I was really nervous going in it, but working with Shishi before and trusting her and Dylan being there, it was amazing. The talent that is on that shoot, everyone there, we all felt like brothers. We all felt comfortable with each other. The night before we were sitting down, had a movie night. We had popcorn, and it was just a really. And we watched Black Panther the night before. So it was just a really cool experience. And then for me to learn from these different guys, Michael Boston, Michael Luke, and Thong, and then with Dylan, it was just amazing. And we came up, for those of you who watched that very last bit where everyone is letting loose, that was my idea. Because we're trying to figure out how we're going to do this. And I said, well, what if I go upside down on this chair? We do it this way. And she's like, I love it. Just do it. Just go. And it was hot. And what I loved about that is we all had the opportunity to express our creativity to Shishi, and she used all of it.
Well, the production values are on point. The direction is stellar. It was such a well choreographed 5-man scene. It really was. And it makes you want to look at it over and over again. And actually, I kind of did that too last night. Because I had to be ready for the show.
Always.
For us. But okay, let's move on to your upcoming feature for Lux Studios.
Yes.
JD Daniels is the CEO founder. So can you clue us? Oh yeah, the movie drops early next year. Can you clue us in on Friends in Heat and your role for the film?
So there's a lot going on in this particular movie, and with the way that JD is, what he's doing with his studio is amazing. I can't wait for these rollouts.
Right.
And I know he talked to you a little bit about what it is, and there's some things I can't talk about because they've not been released yet.
Sure.
But JD really wants to bring back the old nostalgia of the adult industry, of doing the posters and the rollouts and all. I think that's cool versus just filming and then just dropping it. He really wants to celebrate what we do as an art form. And so this Friends in Heat, this very first movie with Justin Yermouth and Brian Bonds, it's going to be really, really hot. If you haven't seen it, it's out there for those who are listening. The behind the scenes, smoking hot.
Mm-hmm.
My character is going to be a little bit more on the scandalous side. I'm gonna have some clothes on, but I don't know if we can really call them clothes or not. But I end up getting in a little bit of a three-way situation. So with Mr. Earmouth and Mr. Bonds. And it's gonna be pretty hot. In the process of reading the scene and helping with some of the writing on it, it's pretty cool.
That's great. Oh yeah, Mateo Nuve is going to be a part of Friends in Heat as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had discussions with JD about his brand, about Lux, and he's bringing Hollywood back, you know, like that 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s vibe, like you said, with the posters and the publicity. And because, see, for me, being a writer, I need a story.
Yes.
And the better the story, the best. The best story possible is what I need, because that really gets my juices going and it really gets me into it. So from what I'm seeing about Friends in Heat, you all are going to have this great story, which is so very important.
Yes, a storyline, even though it is adult entertainment, but even if you look back, like you said, like the 70s, there was still a story. You could still follow what was going on with that. And I'm loving at the way that the script is being written and brought up to, you know, what's going on in nowadays standards, and having this well thought out concept. And like JD said, there's this twist at the end of the movie, which is you're going to sit there and be like, okay, I'm ready for part 2. I cannot believe just happened. What's going to happen? It's almost like a sitcom, but it's like, okay, I need to see what happens next, and how will do all of these characters, you know, when are all of these characters going to run across each other? And that's, if it's written the way that I'm thinking it's going to go, hopefully, you're going to be like, oh, I cannot believe that just happened.
I love it. I love that.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it.
Well, how did you connect with JD, and how did he cast you for the role?
JD and I started talking probably almost right as I got into the adult industry. Him and his partner at the time were chatting with me, trying to get me to fly out and do some things with them or collaborate with them with some studio. But, timing, then COVID happened. COVID, when all her cousins decided to show up and not leave.
Yeah.
And JD and I actually did a film with Noir Male. So as we were sitting and talking behind the scenes, he was telling me about this and asked if I would be interested in doing that. It's like, yeah, we've talked in the past. Unfortunately, things didn't work out, but absolutely, let me know what's going on. And like 2 days later, he gives me a text. He's like, all right, if you're really down for this, here's the layout. Here's what's going to happen. He told me everything about the studio, how they want to run it, how they want to do their promotions, and everything else. Is like, dude, I'm on board. I told you back then in person I was on board. I'm telling you now over the phone I'm in person. So he is constantly keeping me updated on what's going on. And so we had a good shoot with Noir. Excuse me. I'm looking forward to this shoot with him. I'm here to support this man. He's done a lot in the industry, and it's time for him to, take that reign and give men of color that opportunity to shine. And that's what he's doing. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about just men. Okay, I'm talking about across the board. He is spreading the love across the board. And the conversation I had with him, he's going to equally promote all of this talent, regardless of what color you are. So if he does 5 posts on someone, he's going to do 5 posts about somebody else, which I'm not saying that other studios don't do that, because I'm not going to throw them under the bus like that. But to hear him flat out tell me that makes me feel good about it. Makes me feel really excited about what's going to happen with Lux. And I know that their team has been doing a phenomenal job with some of the stuff that I've tweeted. They're retweeting and, giving me congratulations on my nominations and stuff like that, which I'm like, oh, thank you. And I think there's been like one other studio that's done that. And I'm like, thank you guys. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot.
Well, JD is an authentic, open, real, forthright, just a decent man. So I totally concur with everything that you said. So you all friends in heat, early 2022, we got Jake Waters, we've got Mateo Nuve, we've got Brian Bonds, Justin Uramouth, and, you know, everybody.
And a couple, some extras. There's some more people coming. So, yes, I'm looking forward to this.
Well, my friend, what is your 5-year plan? How do you want to make your mark in the adult entertainment industry?
Oh, a good question. I want to represent myself the best that I can by putting out only positive stuff and being positive. Now, I'm going to have a moment. I'm going to say something that's going to be inappropriate. I may post something that's something like, I know you didn't just do that. I know you didn't say. I'm going to have it. I'm not perfect. But I want to make sure that when you see me on screen or on Instagram or Twitter, that I am representing myself and other people who look like me at a higher standard. I'm tired of a lot of these studios casting us as the gangster, the drug dealer, the guy who's always getting arrested, the janitor. I'm tired of being cast in these low. I don't want to say they're not important roles, but I'm sorry. I went to college. I have 2 degrees. I know how the effort and the time it took for me to get those degrees. I know there are successful men of color out in the world. Put me in that role. You know, I want to change the narrative of why people of color aren't being nominated for more awards. Why aren't we winning more awards? And it's not that we're not out there. It's not that we're not doing what we need to do. It's, how do I say this without, I'm not trying to attack anyone, so I don't want anyone to take it that way. But as a studio head, if I am putting $10,000 into a scene, it's directors, the cameras, the acting, editing, and all that, and I put it out there, and let's say it is 2 people of color. When we go to sell that, who's buying it? The people who are actually buying the material aren't the people that look like us. It's a lot of the people who are, you little light skinned it. Is that a word? Yeah. They're a little lighter than us. Okay. So that's what they're attracted to. They're attracted to people who look more like them. So I didn't really put the 2 and 2 together until I actually started working in the industry. And then it's like, okay, I get it, but I don't get it. I'm just as attractive, if not hotter, than my counterpart. Why aren't I selling like they are? So just getting that narrative. So if I can get myself and other people to see us in these higher roles, we are executives. We own businesses. We are not just servants. We're not just the druggie. We're not just the person who's going to get arrested. We have substance. I want to, in front of the camera, I want to do that. Dylan and I have started writing our own stuff. So great. Hopefully within 5 years, we're up and running our own studio. We're writing and selling the script and putting people across the board in the roles that need to be seen. That's my goal. My goal is to basically, I can't just say I'm going to change the industry, but I would love to change the way that people look at adult entertainers.
Outstanding. Really outstanding. So, Jake, what do you have planned for 2022 as far as projects, appearances, that sort of thing?
As of right now, other than the Friends in Heat with JD, I have a shoot coming up with Raging Stallion next week. Great. So that'll probably drop in 2022. I'm loving coming out and working for some of these big name studios.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm already starting to change the game a little bit. And then in January, I'm actually going to be doing the Hustler Ball.
Oh,
Dylan and I will be doing that together. So and
nice.
that's going to be new for me because I'm not used to putting on a live performance in front of a crowd. I mean, there's the cameraman and lighting and all that, but there's going to be, and I know most of them. I've seen them on other shoots. So being in a crowd of like on a stage with all these people standing around and looking, I get stage fright really bad.
No.
Yes, even I've performed, I've done choir and all that my entire life, but getting on stage, there's just something different about it. And I think once I get into it and I kind of black everyone else out of my block or however you want to say it, is just put my and just focus on what I'm doing, I think I'll be fine. And maybe some liquid courage.
You know, actually, you will be. I used to do stand-up comedy in back in the day, and stand-up comedy is the toughest form of entertainment. You're totally exposed, and they will heckle you, they will boo you. You'll be just fine. Now, tell me, you'll be good. So, when is Hustler Ball, and where is it going to be this year?
It's in Vegas. I don't know the exact location. I should have wrote that down, but it is January 13th through the 16th.
Great.
Yeah, it's also going on the same time as the Sin City softball tournament.
Oh.
Yeah, and I play. I'm supposed to be playing in that too. So softball at during the day and hardball at night.
You know what? I could make some puns on that, but I'm not going to do it. But you're going to be a very busy guy in 2022.
Yes.
Oh, give us all of your social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything.
I don't. My Facebook is my private, my government name, so I don't give that one out.
Okay.
But that's fine. My Twitter and Instagram are Jake_Waters XX. And again, that's Instagram and Twitter, and then OnlyFans is OnlyFans, and then Jake_Waters XX.
Great.
So that's where you can find me. And then if you have to search my name because my Twitter account got deleted a couple of weeks ago.
Oh no.
Yeah, I have no idea why. I was on it earlier in the day.
Damn.
I went back to look at it and it was just gone. I'm like, I had all of my, so you know, it allowed me to use the same name, which was real weird, but you have to go into the search and find it. And if you try to go to like an old tweet and click on the name, it pulls up a blank account. So.
Oh man, that's a bummer.
Yeah, I know. I was extremely upset, but then I had to realize, like, you know what? There's other things worse going on in the world right now than my Twitter account being deleted. So it sucks because, you know, and that's where some of the studios, they look at your Twitter and your IG to see how many followers you have to see if they want to book you. So when you go to my Twitter and it's like, oh, you only have 1,000 followers. This guy's not hot. Next. And I'm like, I had more than that. They just got deleted.
Damn.
All right.
Well, Mr. Jake Waters, thank you for stopping by. Wyatt, you gotta come back.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you need me, sir.
I appreciate that.
So there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page on WyattEvans.com. The official hashtag is Wyatt on Air. If you want to be a guest on Wyatt or you just have comments, you can email me at WyattOnAir@gmail.com. You can follow me, Wyatt O'Brien Evans, your host, on Facebook.com/Wyatt O'Brien Evans, on Twitter at Mr. Woe, MISTERWOE, and on Instagram at Mr. Wyatt O, MRWYATTO. And be sure to check out my Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels, the latest being Frenzy. I said Frenzy. And its predecessor, Rage, at WyattEvans.com. So look, I want each and every one of you to have a safe and joyous and fun Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And we'll have a post-holiday show. So y'all look, have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.